works. And it's a really it's a wonderful winery. It's really beautiful. I encourage everybody when things open up again to come up and do a tasting at the winery. And John has been so gracious to do a video with us and host the this port. There's an exploration and focus on port with 3 really wonderful ports. So John, John Prager, I'd like to introduce you. Say hello.
Hello, and thank you very much for joining us in this party. This just sounds wonderful. This is probably the biggest party I've had all year.
Oh no!
Big fan. This is great. But we started this winery, for those who haven't been here, we started back in 1979, but in 1976, my dad fell in love with the area, and so he decided to sell his business that he was in for 26 years of selling insurance, and decided to bring me and 6 other siblings up here in the Napa Valley from Orange County. And here we are, specialized in port wine, and nobody else is doing what we're doing. So this is probably the reason why we're still here, you know.
Are your siblings involved?
Yes, there are 5 out of the 7. So it's all family. We don't have any employees at all. We have my brother Peter is the winemaker. I'm operations manager. I have an older brother who's a plant manager. I have a brother-in-law who is the marketing and assistant winemaker. And then I have 2 sisters. One is the CFO, she takes care of the money. And then, of course, I have a sister, Mary. She takes care of the events and the club. So it's all a family affair. And my mom, she's the glue. She makes these walnuts. She's the nut lady.
Oh, that's the walnuts. Okay.
We've had those. Yeah, they're addictive. So anyway, I gave you a little rundown of when we started. My dad fell in love with the port when he was back in 78 or something like that, where he was taking some crash courses at UC Davis, and one of the professors had pulled out a bottle of wine that he had made prior, and it was a Cabernet port, and he fell in love with it, and that was his aha moment, where that's what he was going to focus on. So the first year he made the 1976, 79 was a Zinfandel port, which he didn't like, but in 80 he made the Cabernet and made Cabernet Sauvignon Blanc, a Cabernet Sauvignon and a Chardonnay. And we continued those dry wines for a few years, but we just eventually focused on port. So we make about 6 distinctive styles of port now. And keeping up with the traditions and styles of Portugal in the manner of aging, how long they age in barrel. We use different varietal grapes than Portuguese. We do have some, but for the most part, it's a New World type of port than you would find typically in Portugal.
Could you just talk a little bit about in the production of wine or production of port, how that differs from a wine?
Great question. So, port in the beginning is the same way as you would make table wine. You actually crush the grape. You actually add yeast, and you allow the fermentation to reduce some of that grape sugar, because that's why port is sweet. It's the natural grape sugar you're tasting. So we ferment it for a little while, and then about halfway through the fermentation, we then introduce 170 proof brandy, which kicks the alcohol up to 18%, which kills the yeast. It stops the fermentation. So you're left with some of that unfermented grape sugar, and that's why port is sweet. And then we age it in barrel, depending on the style, from 2 to 10 or more years in barrel. So that's how port is made.
How do you control the consistency of the brandy so that your port is consistent?
We buy from the same producer since we started. My dad literally spent 2 years trying to find the right brandy to make with our ports. It some of the brandies, when they blend the heads and tails back to each other, sometimes the brandies come off with this fusel nose to it, like kerosene and stuff like that. And a lot of people were making it that way, and he didn't care much for it. But he found a particular place where it didn't have any of that. And that's the same brandy we've been using since 1979.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So that's the same place. If you can keep your stuff from the same place, that's how you maintain consistency. Even vineyards.
So why don't we go and pour the first, I think we'll start with the Aria, which is the blonde port.
It's the white port.
The white port, yeah. And maybe you could tell us as we're pouring.
Right.
I'll do it.
So this is Aria. It's a Chardonnay-based white port. And white port's function in life typically is something you drink before dinner. I know people don't associate port with food. Actually, they would serve this in lieu of a sherry. It's not really syrupy or sweet, but so that's why it goes so well with food. So we actually would love serving this with pate or sauté framboise. You can have it with roasted bacon-wrapped dates. Fantastic. We actually love serving shellfish like that. Sea scallops, anything that you caramelize, it really picks it up, and it really gives off a really rich, full flavor and a lingering flavor. Great with butternut squash soup, lobster bisque. So a wide range of things. And your imagination can go wild, especially if you're a foodie or something. It's a great wine to cook with. And
This is the bottle.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
So what is so everybody have it? And what are you getting on sort of aromas? What are you getting on the nose? I find a lot of different flavors jumping out at me.
I get that aged brandy. There's an aged,
Yeah, the brandy.
I get that aged brandy, but I also get that sort of almost I don't know if you've had cognac lately. Smells like cognac in a way to me.
Yeah.
But it also has that vanilla. Has a ripe apple.
There's a fig flavor to it too.
Butterscotch.
Caramel.
Well,
the
it has,
caramel, yeah.
and it has such a finish. It stays with you. I love it.
Yeah, it has a slight nutty finish to it.
Totally.
Yes, it does. I agree with all of those.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic.
Very nice.
It's fantastic with, everybody's thinking about desserts, but it's really good with one of my favorite desserts is actually creme brulee.
Oh,
So it works well with the favorite part of it is the caramel crust on the top. It's really good. And great with bread pudding and carrot cake, pie.
And
John, just because I know nothing about port, is this to last forever? Is it 20 years, 50 years? What is the life of this port?
So a misconception is that all ports will last forever. It's not true. There's only a very few ports that are meant for lasting a long time. But for the most part, most ports are really meant to be consumed right away. So these ports, to give you a heads up, any port that actually gets its name by the color of the wine. So you've got rubies, you have white, you have tawnies. These ports are what they call wood ports, and they've done all their aging and maturing in the barrel. So once they're bottled, they're ready to drink. They've done all the aging and maturing there, and it's instant gratification. The only ports that are meant for long-term aging, and they're collectibles, these are called vintage ports, and it'll be stated on the bottle. Port, from Portugal, the old Porto, Graham's vintage port, and it'll have a date on it. And it'll say vintage port. And these are the collectible ports. These are the ones you buy down and lay down for 25, 30 years in a cellar.
because they'll continue aging?
Yes, they're the only ones that will continue to evolve. All other ports are really meant to be consumed right away.
But how many,
Say
how
that
much,
they go bad. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you can keep them for a long time, but don't expect anything great to come of it.
Mhm.
They're not going to improve in the
Right.
bottle.
Yeah.
Only the vintage ports will improve with the bottle.
Right.
In the bottle. So what is
So when you say 10 years, that's 10 years in the cask,
No, in the bottle.
So what are we talking about? 10 years.
well, the tawny says 10 year.
That's 10 years in barrel.
That's what I was saying, in the cap, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So in Portugal, tawny ports are a blended port. As you see, this is also a blended port. And they're blended with different years, so you can't put a vintage date on it.
Oh, okay.
But in Portugal, they'll use, the youngest being 6, they'll use a lot of 6-year-old and blend it with some 20-year-old, which make it look and taste like a 10-year-old. Our 10-year-old tawny port is actually a blend of 4 different vintages, and the youngest, because of compliance, has to be 10 years old.
Youngest, okay,
Youngest is 10 years old.
wow.
So in California, if there's a 10-year-old tawny, they'll either 100% of it aged 10 years, or it's a blend. If it doesn't have a vintage date on it, it'll be a blend.
Okay.
so on a follow-up question, so how many months do you think you should wait before you need to open up that bottle and drink it?
Of the tawny or
Of yours?
this one here?
This
one
Oh,
here?
the tawny.
The tawny.
I've had, you could, hold on to it for 10 years, and it still tastes good. The thing with the tawny ports is that the acidity and the bite that you get from it now will get so soft it'll become flat. But it'll always still be that caramelized, nutty characteristic. It just doesn't have that acidic bite. You'll get more alcohol. It's not what it should be. It's bottled at its peak.
Is there a deterioration factor? Like
It's slow.
within 2 years, it's still very good, but then it starts slanting the wrong way?
Unopened, I would drink it within 8 years.
Okay.
Open bottle, I would drink 6 to 8 months.
He's talking the 20, but I think.
Okay. Good to know.
We're kind of jumping ahead, but
Yeah.
that's fine.
Sorry, yeah.
No, that's all right. So on this particular one, how long did this age in the barrel?
So the Aria is 3.5 years in barrel. So this, going back on
2016.
ability, this will actually age because it has good acidity to it, and most importantly, has a good pH. So this pH will keep it stable for a long time. So our white ports will evolve. But as an open bottle, I would drink this for 3 months.
Thank you.
Okay.
Which I'm sure.
Takes discipline.
If you waited that long, you didn't like it in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So this with did any of you get a couple of like the candied walnuts or pecans and the lemon
Mhm.
cookies?
Yes,
I think
Yeah.
the lemon cookie, was that the one?
well, yeah.
To the Riesling, that's what we did.
Well, it's not the one you recommended. Safeway has a very limited supply of lemon cookies, so.
Right.
But it's a lemon butter cookie.
Okay.
But it goes well with the pate I just got out.
Yeah.
And you said pate.
Go get that. That's
Yeah, I did, yeah. It was very good.
There's a restaurant up in Lake Tahoe called Evans, and they, instead of serving butter for their bread, they serve pate. It's an excellent
Oh, my goodness.
restaurant called
Oh, my
Evans.
God.
Oh,
Wow.
well, I was lucky to have some in the refrigerator, so when you said pate, I went and opened it up.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
So what does everybody think of this?
Oh, it's wonderful.
It is very good.
It's so rich,
Yeah.
but not overwhelmed, not so heavy. Yeah.
It cleans up pretty nicely.
I recently did a tasting of the sweet wines of the world, and they had a white port. And it was nothing like this. It was
Oh,
this is so much better.
Most white
Yeah.
ports kind of
it's
from
just-
Portugal are fruity.
Yeah.
They're really
nothing
bright and
like this.
fruity. Lower alcohol too.
Yeah.
California
This
has
is a lot.
Port has to be
2.5.
alcohol.
Yeah, this-
White Portugal
I like this. It would make a nice little pair too.
probably 16-17%. More like a late hard.
No.
All right, so why don't we move on to the tawny next? Right?
Okay, yeah,
We'll
since
do the
we've already
tawny,
touched on that.
right?
Okay.
So if you could give us a little bit, just maybe a little overview
So
of
tawny refers to the color of the wine. So instead of calling it brown port, we call it tawny port. There's a little more cachet to it. But it's turned brown because it's aged the longest in barrel out of all the ports.
That looks like a bad.
Like I said, it's been a minimum 6 years in barrel. So this is a blend of different vintages, and the youngest is 10 years. So like I said, it's caramelized, it's nutty, it's got that dried fig, date, toffee flavors. So it's going to go with nuts and hard cheese, or even traditionally would be Stilton cheese, or any blue cheese is great with it, but not everybody likes blue cheese. But fantastic.
or the Gouda.
We want a stronger cheese than
Aged
Gouda.
Gouda.
The
that is-
aged Gouda is
yeah.
fantastic.
So
You
the-
guys have aged Gouda? Anybody?
Well,
Okay, if
Yeah.
you have the aged Gouda, this would pair nicely with that, so try that.
I know that Whole Foods has something similar to it, but they call it something different.
no, Safeway doesn't have aged Gouda. I mean, it aged from Safeway to here.
Yeah,
But that was it.
backseat aging.
Yeah. Yeah. But it is good though. It's okay. Yeah.
What about the grape varietals with it?
So this is a blend of literally 6 different varietals, 4 different vintages, 6 varietals, 3 of which are Portuguese.
Oh, nice.
We in '99 planted 4 of the Portuguese varietals up in Calistoga. So this has Touriga Nacional, which is probably it is the main varietal they use in Portugal. Also, Tinta Cal and Tinta Roriz. There'll be a test to make sure you know these names. But
That'll be a test.
Yeah, right.
so you thought this was going to be easy. No, anyway.
Yeah.
Also, it's blended with a little Merlot, but more Petit Syrah, and a little bit of Cabernet, which is the oldest of the blend. And so part and parcel. About the 13-year-old is mostly Cabernet, but it's like Petit Verdot. It adds softness to the tawny port, so it does something to it. So it's the most popular port, most recognizable style of port in the world. I mean, you go to a restaurant, this is what they have because it has a long shelf life. It'll hold for 6 to 8 months as an open bottle because it's been over 10 years in barrel exposed to air. It's not going to turn vinegar. So, your red ports are going to, if you laid them down for 40, 50 years, this is kind of what they look like. But they would have a fruity quality to it, not a caramelized, a nutty quality or a dried fig quality.
Yeah, lots of dried.
I like the dried figs. Yeah, you can taste that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does this differ from a ruby port?
Rubies are, if you ever have seen a ruby ring, I mean, it's a kind of a
It's
ruby,
the color.
but they traditionally are the sweetest of all the ports. If you like cooking, that's the good cooking wine, but the Brits love they love the sweet ruby ports. And we don't make that. It's just American palate we've found over the years don't really care much for those styles of port. I mean, they have a hard time with the word port in general because they think it's too sweet or syrupy. Number one reason why they don't like port is because they've had a bad experience or they've had a bad impression of it. But so why we
Oh,
don't?
this is nice. Isn't it?
Yeah.
You can taste the grape in it.
Yeah. Well, you can taste the grapes.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah.
A little bit of fresh fruit in there. What flavors are you getting from this wine?
I get the figs. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of figs.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
getting-
lots of figs.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
This
second wine port seems much more aromatic than the first one, and I thought the first one was very aromatic.
Yeah.
This
They're
one,
This
all-
one's much deeper.
yes, yeah. So really rich. It's got a richness.
Yeah.
It looks-
Uh-oh.
Richard.
Hello.
Sherry, welcome. Good to see you here. A couple new people here, Jennifer. So Richard, just so we're on the Tawny Port, and any other want to share your thoughts and about flavors, either on the nose or the flavors themselves on the mouthfeel? A lovely mouthfeel, so rich and syrupy.
It's still
Yeah.
love the lingering of the flavors.
What about how it pairs with the cheese? If you've got the
We have some goat cheese here. It goes well with.
That's good.
oh, nice. The sharpness would go well with
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, then we have some
Fig jam.
fig jam, and it
Goes really well with that too.
Oh, we
look
have
at
some
that
good jam.
while I'm listening in on John's thing.
Somebody's just on the phone. It's not.
Goes well with Stilton.
What is that?
So strong big cheeses then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I tried it with the candied pecan.
Is it good as not good?
Yeah. That's
too.
anything nutty pecan
Anything
pie.
nutty,
I
yeah.
mean, that's great.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Oh, pecan pie. Kathy, you can go get a slice.
I run across the street and get the pecan pie.
The nose is, Nandita, I love you say that. It's just so, the aromatics on it, the nose just jumps out of the glass. I mean, it's all of your wines are like that.
I don't know, but it's 55 degrees in this room, but this, I'm getting a lot of that aged brandy
Yeah.
and that, and they definitely get that figgy dainty aromas.
And some baking spices on there.
Yeah.
Like cinnamon and nutmeg. I'm thinking of pecan pie.
Yeah.
Pecan pie.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, the only time I've barely used like a ruby port is in cooking. I've never really drank in
Yeah.
honey port. This is very nice. It's not syrupy. It's.
Yeah. If you want a comparison, go find a bottle of Ruby Port and
I will get one over covered.
give it a try. You might like
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I never really tasted it, so
19% alcohol. Are the taxes greater on this because of the alcohol content?
Yeah. Anything above 14 goes up.
Yeah.
So is that why you wait 10 years so there's more alcohol?
Actually,
I'm hoping the tax laws change.
brandy that they do it picks it up. But, you know, like, it's, when you eat the Centennial Connie, you do lose some of the liquid, and so it does concentrate the alcohol.
I was going to say.
Okay, I think that's better.
I was asking
Muted you.
anybody else is getting.
I think that was the culprit. Okay. All right. So, any other thoughts or questions or comments about the Connie before we move on to the final?
The Royal Escort.
Oh, the Royal Escort.
Josh, for you guys?
No, there's only. Just drink more.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Royal Escort. There's another wine glass for somewhere.
Oh my God, look at the color.
It's a royal purple.
Whoa.
Talk a little bit about what is that? Why are we doing this dark dark? What's the wine?
This is the varietal is the Syrah. That's why it's so dark. Varietal, and that's why it's part of our vintage wort.
Wait, where's the?
This is actually will improve with bottle age. It has all the characteristics of a young vintage port.
This is 2016, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the one that you can lay down in the bottle and it will improve.
Has more tannic structure, fruit bomb, not a lot of tannin, but
What beautiful color.
Gorgeous.
And it's very opaque, I notice. You can't really see through it.
No, you can't.
oh, you can't. It's very dark.
It's like, well, you think of a glass of Petit Syrah where sometimes it's so black and inky that it's like, okay, what's on the other side?
It actually
Exactly.
The color is sticking to your glass.
Mm-hmm. It does, it stains the glass.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That is really concentrated.
Mhm.
That flavor is like super concentrated.
Oh, wow. It is.
Again, not syrupy,
No.
not over the top.
That's it.
Actually, this is pretty good with food, like lamb or duck. Fantastic.
Duck, I can definitely see this.
Duck, yeah.
Oh my God.
But I love everything that's chocolate. So one of my favorite trifecta flavors is dark chocolate, either a chocolate roast,
We do have chocolate.
espresso, and with the red port. The trifecta of flavors is fantastic.
The petite sirah.
Goes really well with tiramisu.
You keep putting it in the picture.
Oh, sorry.
With chocolate, it makes it so much richer in a way.
Yeah, it's almost like it tastes like you just took a bite of a chocolate cherry cordial.
Yeah, absolutely. This I'm
Oh,
not.
cherries, yeah, cherries.
Yeah, cherries, lots of
Yeah, cherries, yeah.
So as this ages, what would you expect the flavors to do in this wine?
So it's really a lot of these really dark, rich, ripe fruit characteristics. But as it gets older, those ripe fruits will be more like dried cherries, currants, things like that. They'll get more of a caramel flavor too as well. But
Yeah.
fruitiness will always come through strong. But it'll be softer, silkier, more elegant on the palate. It won't taste as sweet as it does now. That's what vintage ports will do. It'll taste less sweet.
That's interesting.
Chocolate.
So,
Really good
so this
chocolate.
could go forever?
Well, let's put.
Nothing goes
I
for
think
it.
10 years?
I think it'll outlive your patience. That's probably good.
That's, well, that's pretty short.
Hey, John, I'm having roast beef or prime rib roast, I guess, on Saturday.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this one with that?
You have people. I think it's great. You have people that would like sweet wines with your dinner, or want to just give them an option, or is it going to be?
It'll be an option, but Lee and I, yes.
Yeah.
But the other guests, one is
Especially-
pregnant, so she won't be. But.
Especially with the rich gravy, the Petit Sirah grape lends itself to go well with meats.
Mhm.
It really, the fruitiness will pop on the palate and everything. It'll be fine. It'll be great.
Okay.
John, do you still make your regular Petit Sirah?
Yes. I drink it every day.
Yeah, if you guys are up there, it'd be worth purchasing a bottle. It's very good.
Okay, I'm here.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
That's up to
Yeah. So the Petit Sirah that we make is from the same vineyard where the Royal Escort comes from. So
Yeah, I
same
would like
vineyard,
to
same
taste- I
grape.
would like to taste that.
It's not intense like this, but it's really soft. Our 2013 is our current release. That's an old wine, but Petit Sirah tastes better.
Oh,
So, yeah.
wow.
So big. I mean, they've
And
got so much.
it's so soft and fruity and drinkable right now. I love it.
On that note, John, I've been coming to see you guys for 19 years. This is the first bottle of the Petit Sirah that Richard, told me that I need to purchase. And so I can't wait. I haven't even opened it yet. So it's good to hear these other comments.
Oh, good. Yeah. What year is it?
It's the one you just most recently produced.
Oh, okay. It's 13. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah. Have that.
Have that instead?
Well, you said it.
You can do a comparison.
Oh,
There you go.
The port, you can open up the port. Like I said, the Royal Escort lasts for like 3 months as an open bottle. So
it lasts a day when we open it at our house.
Okay.
Go, girl.
It will get drunk.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll get drunk.
We will?
It will get drunk.
Good for you.
Or consume.
It will, yes. It will be, yes. So,
Just
all right.
think it's the wine
When you think of how we were trying to put together this put this together in the spirit of the holidays, that these are such great holiday wines.
Yes,
That
they are.
there's something very joyful and very comforting about these sweeter, wonderful, rich
Rich, full
wines.
body.
Yeah, they're very warming in a way.
I think I want this. Yeah, yeah.
You know, I really like the way that I'm used to regular wines, and I wouldn't say that I gulp them. But you know, what I really like about these ports is you're almost forced to sip and savor them. And it's
Good point,
not just a
actually.
drink, but an experience.
Yeah,
Right.
That's true.
that's very
Huh.
nice. Yeah,
You're a classy lady, that's for
she
sure.
is. That
Yeah.
she-
I hope those are not famous last words, though.
Well, I hope they last a while.
Yeah. Well, the wines, the ports will last a while, so you can savor them for a while. No, you do savor them. You tend to take your time a little bit with them, and really, they're luxurious. They're very elegant and luxurious. I think.
That's a good word. Yeah, luxurious. That's a good word.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
just
Better.
There's a balance about everything, and that's the sugar, the alcohol. That's what we strive for, is to have that balance.
So of all of these, which I know it's
Yeah,
hard to
that's
pick, which would be my preference.
Yeah.
So is there a one that sort of stands out above others to you?
So just trying to say, which one do I like?
Yeah.
Well,
It's hard.
Better.
for me, it depends on the mood I'm in and what I'm having. What sounds good to me. People, again, if you're foodies, you know, you could probably figure out which one you would prefer at that time. But to sit around, for me, I enjoy the red or the tawny port is what I like best, just sitting all by itself. I don't need anything with it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, the tawny. Yeah.
Yeah. The flavors.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Well, I'm thinking that I should drink red ports for dinner with beef. At first I thought, no, I'll get drunk. It's too heavy. And then the next point is you don't drink it as fast or as much. So, you know.
You may not. But it's higher alcohol.
It kind of forces you to sip it rather than gulp.
Yeah.
I gulp dry wine, but you don't gulp port because it's too heavy.
Yeah.
Right.
Which gets back to Nandita, what you were saying, that you savor it more and pay attention to it. And I never really thought about doing a port with a meal until we really started talking about this, and it's something that we're going to try.
It's just because that our ports are a little drier than what most people perceive port is, and of course people's palate change over the years. And I know when I was a kid, this probably would taste really sweet to me, but as I get older, my palate changes. I am more accepting to it. But again, our ports are drier, so they're more drink.
Crab. Might be
And
delicious.
your ports have such nice
Yeah.
That helps.
It does.
It does help. It lifts the sugar off the top and cleans up really nice.
You know, I'm originally from India, and one of the areas on the coast of India was for 99 years or 100 years was a Portuguese enclave. It's now resort country, you know, with beaches. And very early on, that was a place that we could travel to, and you would go into these pubs where families went. You know, you didn't have to be 21 or 18. I was just a child. And I remember tasting the ports and finding them so sweet. I think part of it was the way they were made.
Yeah.
But also part of it was just that hot, humid weather, you know, which somehow didn't ally very well with ports.
Yeah, like drinking hot Welch's juice, it doesn't work. You know, but some people like that. You know, they like that.
Yeah.
And you bring up a good point, though. When you chill a wine, it brings out the acidity or the bitterness of a wine. Not the rich and fruity thing. Some fruit, but more the acidity. But as that wine gets warmed, all the extra fruitiness and richness comes out. So even with Chardonnay and Champagne, I actually don't like shoving it in the ice bucket anymore. I want it to come up, especially if I'm having food with it. Especially, I like the richness that the grape has to offer, and that
Interesting.
in that note, yeah, it just tastes rich. It
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
Temperature.
Yeah.
That's a good point about the Prager.
Drinking
Yeah, very good. You know,
what temperature? This is room temperature is what you want these
Well,
wines at,
cellar
or cellar temperature.
Yeah,
That might be fun, so.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Lynn,
Yes.
Lynn, I'm thinking that on New Year's Eve,
Christmas Eve.
pardon me, Christmas Eve, we're having crab. We should drink Aria with it.
I think I like that. I'll get,
Way to go.
I'll get some and
How do
bring
you,
it back.
how do you
Yeah.
cook it? You
We
just
don't. We don't.
it's
We
cold,
don't.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cook seafood cooks it.
Yeah.
But it's just cracked crab, cold cracked crab.
Just do it. You'll love it.
All right, I'll bring some down. I will get some and bring some down.
Yes.
Thank you.
Buy a couple more bottles and we'll, yeah. Actually, this would make nice gifts too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sure.
Anyway.
I could give you my address if you're in the neighborhood.
yeah, 'cause it's something a little special. It's something a little different.
Yeah, different. Yeah. And in the holiday spirit, especially now, we need something special.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Patrick, put us down for a case.
What can we,
Which
what can we
one?
mix a case? I like the tawny also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Positively.
I like the tawny.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So any other questions or comments? And besides just,
You have any questions you wanted to ask, we're afraid to ask? What?
Well, are there any other port? I mean, who else does port in California or actually in the United States? I mean, you're the only one I've ever heard of.
Well, thank God. But anyway, there are a handful of people who've been around longer than we have. But literally, there's like a handful of people that specialize in ports.
Most in California or all around the country?
Fickman is one of them.
yeah, that's
They're the granddaddy of California ports.
Fickman.
Oh, Fickman.
They're out in Madeira.
Yeah.
And also Hawaii. They make ports as well. But there's another Californian producer called Bartholomew. They make ports out of varietals. They specify the varietals and not style of port, but the varietal port.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And
So it's pretty small.
a lot of wineries make a port, but not
It is.
different types or styles.
Right, right. Not doing port, yeah. Oh, that's interesting, because I never heard of it.
which makes your
So
wine
special.
unique.
Yeah, we're the only
so special.
serious
Yeah,
port
yeah.
producer in the Napa Valley.
Yeah.
Well, we should do that, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So John, will you be doing this again? Will you be, working on some of the other ports and talking about them?
Well,
I love this.
we do have other ports that typically sell only out of the tasting rooms that are not
I should go there too.
sold to the general public. One of which is a white port called the Blonde Tawny. So it's Aria basically with the varietal
Yeah.
blended to it
Like
called
that.
Verdelho, but it's aged 10 years in barrel. So it's a white port that's very nutty.
Sounds good.
I don't know. You have to try it. It tastes like buttered popcorn too.
Oh,
I mean,
Oh, we miss buttered popcorn.
have
That's really
caramel
hard.
corn or buttered popcorn, and it's a blonde con.
Okay, so who's Connie?
Pardon me?
Who's Connie? She said.
Who's
Tawny.
Connie.
Oh, Connie. I said Connie. I thought, oh, who's
My
Connie?
girlfriend. No, I'm just kidding.
All right.
So I think you should do this again, John, and just kind of continue on. And I think this is great.
Thank you. Thank you. You all have been great. I
It's
love
been
it.
very fun. Yes.
Well, we should have it on site for those in California, or maybe even in Nevada, come down.
We might come up, yeah.
Hope all you guys
Yeah.
come on down. Yeah.
I said
Come
with
over.
lockdown, those of you who are local should really, come and make an appointment at the
Yep.
Prager Winery, because it's a very special place, and they have incredible array of ports and a wonderful tasting kit that goes along with it. So,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
So you
Each
can do with
item
it.
is paired with some of the ports we
Yeah.
have. So
So are you recording this so we can share this with
Yeah.
our friends or on Facebook? And
Absolutely. So I am recording it. What I'll do is I'll send everybody a link to it, and I'll get it
that'd be
posted
fun.
on the new
Great, thanks,
website.
Lynn.
I'll have it posted up there as well.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right. Well, listen,
Wait,
Wait, John, do you ship to Nevada?
Yes,
All
So
right.
we can order direct.
yes, as many pallets as you want.
All right, we'll get right on that.
You need a distributor there.
all right. Okay. Well,
Thank
listen,
you.
Hey, Lynn,
Thank you very
Lynn,
much.
call me before you go home.
Okay, I will.
Call me before you leave there. Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, thank you all, and
Thank
have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season, and we will be doing more virtual tastings in the new year. So please look for that.
Excellent.
Get on our new
Yes.
website.
Yeah. I haven't been present because I'm running the store, but you guys all have a great holiday, okay?
Yeah.
It's been wonderful.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm
I
kind of
almost feel like
I'm
I've
a
been
fly on the
outside.
wall right now.
We'll
Cheers.
see you again.
Yeah.
Christmas.
Everybody.
Happy holidays.
Be
Happy
safe.
holidays.
Be safe.
Presents. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.